welcome back. To Sean and Sheba, let's talk more about China. In recent years, China has rapidly extended one model across industries and classes, turning everyone into migrant workers. Call it the use and discard model, treating people as expendable tools to be squeezed for maximum output and dumped when worn out. As the economy slows, the service life of labor is shrinking fast. About 8 or 9 years ago, over lunch in Shanghai, a vice president from a well-known firm spoke candidly while the economy was still booming. Our core advantage, he said, is hours, whose staff can endure more. If one company gets 10 hours a day, a rival pushes to 12, a third to 14. Without that, you can't survive. With weak talent pipelines, middling technology, and awkward positions in global value chains, he added, there's little left beyond price cuts and driving labor costs below the floor. Everyone knows there's a limit to competing on hours and overtime. They just hope the other side collapses first. When 996, 9 a.m., 9 p.m., 6 days a week hit headlines, people called the internet sector innovative. It wasn't. It was manufacturing's old trick applied to coders, code farmers. Many programmers' hours rivaled or exceeded those of construction crews. The last decade has been the migrant workerization of every trade, more people treated as expendable machinery. 2 decades ago, WTO entry ignited an astonishing growth spurt that dazzled outsiders with a China miracle. That gloss hid the ugly engine underneath, a use and discard labor regime. It thrives because the political system treats citizens as replaceable screws, tools to hit targets, disposable when spent. Version 1 of the model is familiar. In the 1980s to 1990s, hundreds of millions left villages for factories and construction sites along the coast. Hukou and labor rules let them work in cities without granting urban services, education, healthcare, pensions. They lived in crowded dorms, ate poor meals, and labored 12-plus hours amid dust and noise. Young, cheap, obedient, and easily replaced. Injury or age meant instant discard with no medical or income support. They returned home sick and broke. A story from Shenzhen captures it. Young men drilled granite for high-rises without protection, inhaling dust that hardened in their lungs as silicosis. When they could no longer work, the city they built abandoned them like rubble. Police treated their pleas as instability. Some, cornered and desperate, chose suicide. A worker put it plainly, "There is no justice here. The wealth and towers stand on our bones." This logic isn't new. In war, the state discarded captured soldiers as war trash. In peacetime, it discards citizens as construction waste. Wherever value ends, battlefield, site, shop floor, the system dumps people en masse. As profits beckoned, the model scaled. It left construction and factories and seeped into offices and campuses. In tech, young staff are driven relentlessly, then labeled over 35 and pushed out. The gig economy perfected the model. By late 2024, over 200 million people worked gigs. Most riders and drivers aren't formal employees. Benefits and safety nets are minimal. A Peking University survey found 95% of couriers tightly controlled by algorithms. Many work well over 10 hours a day, and over 70% fear penalties, so much they skip meals and breaks. Academia wasn't spared. Universities repackaged the model as up or out. Short-term hires with heavy publication quotas, mass recruiting for a handful of hazy permanent slots, and dismissal after the term, with all outputs counted as the institution's chengguo. Cases turned tragic. One returnee scholar at Nanjing Forestry reportedly took his own life after failing a metrics-driven review. A dismissed Fudan mathematician murdered a party secretary. These horrors are symptoms of a machine that chews people up. Defenders claim America does tenure track too. That's a category error. In U.S. hiring, departments aim to bring a colleague to tenure if the scholar meets clear standards in 6 to 7 years. One hire competes primarily against a fixed bar. In China's version, multiple short-term researchers are pitted against each other for one slot, the old raising goo poison game. Then most are expelled. Unlike first-generation migrant workers who could still return to land, these PhDs, often in their 30s with families and benefits tied to employment, have nowhere to go. It's short-sighted, inhumane, and optimized for short-term rankings over human careers. Worse, some victims defend the machine, cloaking it in international alignment, while ignoring what's worth emulating: professional peer review, insulation from administrative interference, and genuine respect for scholarship. This race to the bottom mindset normalizes cruelty and makes reform harder. Macroeconomic headwinds accelerate the cycle. Doctoral enrollment hit 612,000 nationwide, with 100,000 plus new PhDs entering an already saturated market each year. Fiscal stress pushes universities to cut non-core budgets and short-term posts, raising supply while slashing stable demand. Up or out becomes default. Time to obsolescence shrinks. The human costs are predictable. Overwork correlates with insomnia, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, type 2 diabetes, cognitive decline, and cardiovascular disease. Hardly news, but repeatedly validated in research. Recent Chinese health reports show rising overwork and chronic illness among under 35s. Exhaustion and burnout are now common. When an entire society valorizes extraction without limits, mass early write-offs follow at 35 or 45, depending on luck. And people don't vanish after they're written off. They still need food, care, and treatment for the illnesses overwork caused, but often find no accessible support. Some spiral into despair, a few into crime. The old bet that endless young labor will replace the discarded is failing fast as China ages and the demographic dividend ends. Now discards include white-collar workers, programmers, and researchers. Larger, more educated, more aware of injustice. The social risks are obvious. This episode began with a business leader's blunt assessment and ends with a systemic verdict. The migrant worker model delivered breakneck growth and latecomer advantages in the short run. Long-term, it drains creativity, hollows the middle class, and stockpiles social tension. As the write-off gears spin faster around more families, pretense becomes complicity. A sustainable, civilized society cannot rest on a use and discard logic. Respect for human dignity and protection of labor rights are not favors, they are state duties. Bottom line, a nation must treat its people as human. Cross that line, and it forfeits its claim to legitimacy. Alright, this is our discussion today. Any thoughts? We really want to know your thoughts about our topic and content. I'll see you in next video. Sean and Shiba, ciao!